Welcome to PJ Talks Talk. I'm PJ and this video is all about the sublime Mercedes AMG GTS. And this car is in a particularly special livery and has a wonderful Black Series body kit on it. So let's go outside and have a quick look. Check this out. A beast of a car. So we'll have a look at the exterior, we'll have a look at the interior, and then we'll take it for a drive. And actually, very interestingly, this car was put up against the Jaguar F-Type R and the 911. And I own a Jaguar F-Type. It's just over here, the white one. So it'll be a good comparison, I think, between the two cars. Let's do it. Right, so let's just start then with a quick walk round of the car because it's dripping with carbon fibre and looks stunning in this beautiful orange, the Magma Beamers, Mercedes call it. The little badge on the side there, V8 bi-turbo, due to the fact it's a twin turbo car. The nice black wheels, 19s on the front, 20s on the back. And then for the back here, beautiful diffuser, quad pipe exhaust, and they're not standard, that's the Akrapovic exhaust system. And then this massive, huge rear spoiler. We've got two slats and then a little lip spoiler at the bottom here, the mini slat and the bigger. And I think this is probably the maximum size you're allowed as far as European regulations are concerned for the road. And it's very similar to the Black Series rear spoiler, but it's got some differences we'll talk about in a minute. But just an absolutely stunning car with a black roof, carbon fibre mirrors. Yeah, absolutely beautiful. And the first thing you'll notice on the front of the car is the strikingly gorgeous headlights, but the massive mouth of this car, the huge grille, the intake at the front of the car, and probably the biggest Mercedes badge I've ever seen on a Mercedes. Yeah, so front end, very long front bonnet. Front, we've got the headlights with the daylight running lights. We've got a lovely little AMG symbol in them, and then three little LED lights at the bottom and then the main beam. Very good headlights, and actually look stunningly beautiful as well on both sides. And then front area on the bottom, you've got the front splitter, and this front splitter is actually adjustable, so this can slide in and out. However, this has been fixed in place. So, and again, front splitter very big to give all that extra front end grip and downforce when you're going at speed on track. Along the side, you've got some nice, beautiful carbon fibre canards, and then again, the front splitter comes on the side, and it's all about shaping the air around the car. In here, you've got the intake. This intake goes straight into the wheel arch for cooling the brakes, and on the front intake, the massive grille here, you've got three radiators, which you probably can't see. There's a small radiator mounted against the main radiator, and there's a flat radiator at the bottom, and that's all for cooling for your gearbox, diff and engine. So I think you'll agree, very aggressive front end, lots of air intake for cooling, lots of aero, lots of shaping of the air to produce maximum front end grip. Moving up onto the wings of the car, the front wings, they've got these beautiful louvers, the slatted louvers, which were made famous, I think, by the GT3 RS when they first put them on, and they've been on GT race cars for years, and they're designed to allow air pressure to be released from the wheel arch and then to come out and dissipate down the side of the car. What does that stop? Well, that stops the lift that's caused by air pressure building up in the wheel arch, which produces a bit of front end lift and reduces grip. So they are functional on this car as well, as I said. While I'm here, let's look at these brake discs. These brake discs are 15.4 inches, which is incredible. You just look at the size of the calipers, 6-piston calipers. Yeah, 15.4 inches is the same size as the wheels of my car back in the UK. So the discs on this car are absolutely massive, and the braking force must be brutal on this car. And again, when we take it for a drive, we shall find out. Nice black gloss wheels. We'll talk about wheels and tyres in more depth in a minute. So yeah, these louvers reducing the air pressure and allowing the car to be much more front end grippy, if you like. Right, on the bonnet, you've got these little louvers here as well on both sides, and then the air is forced out and pushed up this beautiful carbon fibre bonnet over these grills at the back, which sucks more air out, and again, that's all for cooling. Right in the middle of the bonnet, you've got this slat here, and that forces air in, and that goes over the bi-turbos, and that helps to keep the turbos getting cool and not getting too hot. But we'll talk about that when we lift the bonnet up and have a look at the engine in more detail, which we may as well do now because we're at the front of the car. Okay, so we've got the very nice painted carbon fibre bonnet up, and now we can see the heart of this thing, the massive beast of an engine. And again, quite interestingly, on the front here, this was built by Dieter Murgel. I hope you pronounced your name right, mate. If I didn't, very sorry about that. Silver badge, denoting it's a GTS. If it was a black series, that badge would be black. But yeah, massive area, and you think that's all engine, and it's not. This is just a cover for the cooling system for the expansion bottle and the main cooling reservoir. Either side here is the air intake boxes, and then it all feeds into the engine. So the engine, you can see the beautiful little twin turbos there, starts here. So if you look at that, it's actually behind the rear axle. So it's a front engine but mid-engine type setup, because it's a real front engine would have the engine either over the axle or in front. So yeah, so it's designed that way specially, and it's quite a compressed engine, and they've done that and reduced the size of it by putting the turbos together and inside the V of the V8 engine. And they've done that for two reasons. One, it makes the engine smaller, and two, it makes the turbos more efficient and less lag. They're warmed up nicely. There's a shorter run from turbo to engine, makes them way more efficient. What is it? It's a 4-litre bi-turbo V8, producing 503 brake horsepower, which is a hell of a lot of horsepower to have in a car that weighs about, I think, 1.8, something like that. So 6,250 RPM is where it produces the 503 brake horsepower, and it produces 479 pound-foot of torque between 1750 and 4,750. So, however, this engine's been tweaked slightly because the guy that bought this car, had the body kit part on it, obviously decided he wanted a full Akrapovic exhaust system and also a retune. So this car's producing just under 550 brake horsepower, which is very similar to my Jag F-Type. And again, this car was pitched against the Jag F-Type, the Audi R8 and the Porsche 911. So again, when I'm driving it, the comparison between the two will be pretty hard not to do. So just behind the wheel then, we've got another bit of air and aero. Basically, air's basically just getting sucked from the wheel arch down the side of the car, and this lovely designed canard splits the air and forces it down the side of the car and along this exquisite, stunning side skirt, which is all carbon fibre again, and has this nice winglet here to allow air to be forced through and channeled over the wheel at the back. So yeah, beautiful side to the car. On the side we have the carbon fibre mirrors with the indicator lights in them, and there is a slight issue with the mirror and the A-pillar actually when you're in the car in terms of visibility, but we'll talk about that when I take it for a drive. Across the top, black gloss roof, and then the glass tinted rear window running down to probably the most immense rear spoiler I've seen on a car other than maybe a GT3 RS. And underneath that, really nice badges, all blacked out for the simulated black series, but you can quite clearly see that it is a GTS and not a black series. Rear tail lights, really nice, with a white little sort of, looks like little crystals coming out of there, all LED again, nice, stunning shape to them, I really like it, and the AMG badge again inside there. We have the beautiful diffuser, rear diffuser, which again is not for show. It's designed to produce downforce. It's got the slats in it. The whole bottom of this car is covered in plastic, and again, just to get some ground effect and suck the car to the road as best as possible. Little slats at the back for allowing all the air to come out the rear arches for the wheels and the brake cooling, and then some stunning Akrapovic end cans. And it's not just for show. It's got a full Akrapovic exhaust system on it, and I'll start the car up and you can hear it on the overrun initially with the auto choke, and as it calms down you'll hear the difference between the Comfort Sport, the Sport Plus and the Track. And actually the engine valves on this Akrapovic can don't open, engine valves, exhaust valves even, don't open until you put it into Sport Plus and Track. So Comfort and Sport, it's on silent mode, and then Sport Plus you get that raucous V8 rumble from the cross-plane crank V8 engine. Funnily, the Black Series has gone for a flat plane crank, so it just completely loses that AMG roar, and that's something the Black Series was slagged off for by all the auto sort of journalists when they first looked at it. But this retains that lovely V8 burble due to its cross-plane crank. Yeah, so that's the car on the outside. Lots of aero, lots of lovely carbon fibre, lots of active cooling going on, and just trying to put as much downforce over the whole car to keep it hunkered onto the track. So let's have a look at the inside and the interior. Okay, heading inside then. First thing then, lovely door card. This car has been spec'd with sort of tan and black leather interior, and lots of carbon fibre. I'm not sure about the tan and the orange, but again, that's subjective, you decide that. But the interior itself, the tan and the black leather, is really nice, very good quality, cross-stitched, and all the carbon fibre and everything inside as well. It is a very nice fit and finish, but I'm just not sure about that brown and the orange. I don't know. Anyway, on the side, carbon fibre sill plate. You've got the AMG sign, and I'll tell you what AMG stands for later, because it's quite interesting if you don't already know. I'll tell you on the drive. And then inside, beautiful sports bucket seats, again with the cross-stitch leather, got a really nice sort of diamond pillow finish on it, really brushed aluminium, AMG sign on there. Right then, inside the lovely cockpit of the Mercedes AMG GTS. All right, on the center console then, a number of buttons, I'll go through them all in a minute. However, the most important one right now is the start button. So foot on the brake, press the start button, and lovely V8 growl as it starts up. Here we've got this little button here, which has got on it I for individual, which you can hear the engine note change because the guy that set up the individual liked the noisy exhaust. Into comfort mode into sport, and then sport mode into sport plus, where you get the extra the change. And I'll show a video of that button working from the outside so you can really hear it. And then into race, no change of engine note. And interestingly, on the center console here, on the infotainment system, as you go for the subsystem, Sport Plus, Sport, Comfort, it then changes on the screen. And then individual, you can see that he set it up in Sport Plus, in Comfort mode, in manual mode, Sport Plus exhaust and ESP on. That's his preference, the guy that actually owns this car. Anyway, so I'll have it in Comfort for this, just so we can talk about all the different bits. So steering wheel, like I said, lovely perforated leather, carbon fibre top and carbon fibre flat bottom with the AMG sign on here. Paddle shifts up and down for right and left. Behind that, you've got the normal stalks for all the indicator. On the steering wheel, the horn in the middle, you've also got on both sides the home menu and selector switch. Now this is a bit of a weird one, because if you look at the tacho, I've done 19.2 kilometers in this car so far. If I sweep my finger up and down on this switch, it changes what's going on the dashboard. So it's a little bit weird. I'm not sure if I like that. I prefer the tactile sort of clunk of a switch. To activate it is a press, and home and back is also activated with a press, but that button there is kind of a weird swipey button. The rest of them are all press, so the cruise control, the speed limiter, lane assist is all pressing the button. And on this side you have your sort of infotainment, music and audio and telephone system. The dials are analog, which is nice, but with kind of like lovely well lit, and then an LED sort of display screen in the middle there showing you the fact I'm in park right now. You can have your sat nav up here, you can have your sound system up on here. I love these punker louvers, the little vents. They're really nice, round, fully adjustable. You can move the insides, and again the little silver knobs here adjust whether the air's coming out or not, how much air comes out. So this is all the aircon control, and this is for the main menu. Up on the switch you can adjust to different settings with that button there. 2 cup holders in here, and on the other side is again to do with aircon and where it's going. On the center console then we have the buttons here. So we have the performance button that changes all your engine mapping and your steering and a throttle response. Engine start stop switch, traction control, which I'm never going to turn off because this car's rear engine drive, 550 odd brake horsepower in this car, just under 550. The adaptive damper, so off while in comfort, and then you can click it again and it will sort of get extra hard if you like. So it's basically comfort, sport plus and track really, but again full adaptive dampers, and they're working all the time regardless of what setting you've got, to try and keep the car as stable as possible on the road. Then you have the exhaust switch, so you can hear the exhaust note change there hopefully. as you press that switch. Auto start stop, the manual button, so you can have it in manual, it'll light up and it'll tell you now that you're in comfort but in manual, and then off, and then here you have your infotainment, your volume and your on off button for your infotainment. Right, this area here is standard Mercedes. It's the swipe screen, which allows you to swipe through the different settings with your finger, and then in the switch here does the same thing, so you can rotate that and it will show you what's going on the infotainment system, and you've got to push enter on there. And then you've got your gear select knob, which is in park at the moment. You can select to drive, you can go forward to neutral, to reverse, and then back to drive, and at any point you can just press park and the car will go into park. Okay, so we're out and about in the AMG GTS, and I'm hoping you can hear the engine note. I'm actually on the road, funny enough, that Top Gear used to race the Bugatti Veyron many moons ago. It's the exact road they're on, however now it's got speed cameras on it, but it's a 120, 140 and 100 speed limit on various parts of this, so we can give the car a bit of a blip and take it for a real drive. Now, it's taken me about 15 minutes to get here, and already I am in love with this car. It is a total beast. It feels aggressive. It feels like I'm sat on the floor almost. That long bonnet out in front. It just feels like a GT race car, which is what it's supposed to replicate, I guess. Now, AMG are known for their engine notes and their aggressive exhaust sound. Flat plane crank V8 in this one is not disappointing. And I'm in comfort mode at the moment. So I'll just give a little blip in comfort mode and see what you think. Yeah, that's comfort mode with the exhaust valves closed, so it sounds stunning even in this most relaxed GT style sort of function we're in right now. So AMG, what are AMG? Quickly, let's talk about that. AMG, A&M of AMG were two friends, and they basically designed race engines for Daimler Mercedes back in 1962, I think they started. And the A stands for Ashfrat, I think, and then the M was Melcher, and they were two lads, German lads, like I say, who built race car engines. And Grossbach, which is the G of AMG, was the village where one of them lived. So that's the reason why AMG has the AMG nomenclature. It's got nothing to do with like McLaren MSO, which is McLaren Special Operations. It's purely the two initials of the guys' names and then the village Grossbach. If I'm pronouncing any of that wrong, then please put a message, and I apologise to any German-speaking individual who knows the exact pronunciation, because I am not German. So, what does the car feel like? It feels like a GT race car, and I guess that's what it's supposed to feel like. It replaced the SLS. Well, it didn't really replace it, but the SLS ceased to be in being, and this then was produced. The GT's got slightly less horsepower, not as nice fit and finish, and then they made the GTS, and the GTS is what I've got here. Later on in this car's history, they produced the GT-R, which is a complete track car for the road with a trick traction control knob on the dashboard, more horsepower, different transmission mount. It's got the GT Black Series, for example, R, has got a carbon fibre transmission mount, which is just bonkers. And they also produced the GTR Pro, which was supposed to be like, you know, the GTR end of line on steroids, and then they built the Black Series in 2021, which this car has always got the bodywork of the Black Series. I need to get hold of the Black Series. So if anyone out there in the UE has got a Black Series and is happy for me to give it a nice gentle drive like I'm doing to this one, the GTS, then please get in touch. So let's talk about this car though. That 540 brake horsepower and the 490 pound-foot of torque or so this car has got with its tweaks is sublime. It produces the most visceral driving experience, and even in this comfort mode with the gear changes, it just feels like you're driving a race car on the road. Cornering, even this gentle cornering now around the roundabouts I'm doing, the front end grip is phenomenal. The steering feel is exceptional, and the steering on the Jag can be a little bit vague, and again I'll do some comparison between the Jag and this GTS, because I almost bought one of these but then bought the Jag instead. Now don't get me wrong, I absolutely adore the Jag, and I think, having driven this for the time I have now, the Jag is quicker. What about comfort? Well, I'm sat on the AMG Sports bucket seats clad in leather with a nice sort of pillow effect cross stitch. and they are really comfortable, and they really do grip you. There's very little lateral movement of my body, which is exactly what you want in a car like this. The infotainment, actually, coming onto that, is quite interesting because I've got it in the comfort mode, but in the kind of dynamic vehicle settings, and it's showing me exactly what the vehicle is doing. It's showing me what the dampers are doing, it's showing me the steering angle, and it's showing me my acceleration percentage and brake percentage, which is pretty cool. So have a look at some cornering then around this roundabout. The front end grip, you can hear it skidding a little bit, but the front end grip is just phenomenal. As you come out, there's a speed bump here, so I've got to hit the brakes hard. Wow, yeah. So, yeah, the car can go around a corner pretty impressively. Visibility-wise, got great visibility over the front, to the side, to the rear, hampered slightly by that massive Black Series spoiler, but it is cool to see when you look in the rear view mirror. My only real gripe with the car is this A-pillar and the mirror kind of blocks your vision when you're coming to a junction, and you have to move your head around to try and see what's coming. It kind of blocks that area out a little bit, which is the only real criticism I can find on this car. And to be fair, first world problems, it's not that much of a criticism just to be able to move your head. And the Jag, which I'm comparing this car to, is very similar. Coming up to this roundabout here, just turn it in. Oh, let's get the back end sliding a little bit. So again, playful because it's rear wheel drive. It's got an electronic limited slip differential as well, so it just allows you to have that little back end slide out and a bit of a play. Not that I'm going to be doing much of that in this car because I don't own it, and I don't want to put it into a tree because that would be expensive, but just a little flick. And the back end just slides a little bit, just a tiny bit, and it just it's just an absolutely visceral, exhilarating drive, this car. Like I said before, the steering feel is sublime as well. You can really feel what that front end is doing, even though it's hydraulically assisted. Yeah, it's just, I love this car. Right, I've done all this in comfort mode. I've not even tried the Sport and Sport Plus, so let's try Sport Plus, because the Sport makes no real difference. Well, now things have changed slightly. Different screen now in the infotainment. Yeah, it's much nicer feel to the car now we're in Sport Plus. Much quicker in terms of its steering, much quicker as throttle response is a hell of a lot better. Wow. Now, sometimes the buttons on the Sport powertrain, handling if you like, they don't really make much of a difference, but in this car, it is making the difference. You can tell the difference between Sport, Comfort, the individual setup for whoever owns this car, so I'm not going to play with that, and race mode. When you go into race mode, oh, now you're getting lots of, oh, that lovely pop and crackle. Wow. Let's just try a little blip here, see what we get. Oh, Jesus Christ, on the brakes. Oh. The owner of this car has got to sell me it. Oh. And then braking, the brakes are just utterly brutal brakes. Whew, takes your breath away a little bit. The acceleration is brutal, the braking is brutal, the handling is amazing. I'm struggling to think of something bad to say about this car. The A-pillar thing, I mean, does that really matter? Oh my lord. Oh, that noise. Now, we're meant to be comparing this car to the Jag, and the Jag makes an incredible noise as well. Let's you know, not mess around here. The Jag makes an incredible noise. But here we go, let's go full send. Wow. Right, I'm loving this car in race mode. This is now the only mode this car needs to be in. Race mode with the manual shift. I mean, everything's flying around the car now. Just brutal engine response. brutal exhaust note. Everything just hunkers down. The car feels much stiffer. There's zero roll in this car in comfort mode, really, not really noticeable. And then when you put it in track mode, it's just so much stiffer. Let's just do a little overview of the car. So on the way back then, whilst driving this car, it's a bi-turbo 4 litre V8 producing 550 brake horsepower because it's been tuned and the Akrapovic can. Mounted to that is a 7-speed DCT speed shift dual clutch, and it's just incredible. So fast shifting. It almost, even in automatic, it almost senses what you want and when you want to really go quick and when you want to just cruise along. We've looked at comfort, really good, still noisy, still exciting to drive, still a very quick car. We looked at sport plus, and what we're in now, which is track, which I just love because it just lets you have a little bit of fun with the car. Now, a lot of the fun I had with the car, I didn't film for obvious reasons. But yeah, this car handles incredibly well. It also power slides fairly easily, but it's an incredibly quick car. The chassis is a boxed aluminium lightweight chassis. It's got reinforcing struts, like an X pattern across the whole bottom of the car. It's got torsion bars front and rear. Like we said, it's got the dampers, the adjustable dampers, the electronic limited slip differential in the back. And the gearbox itself, the DCT gearbox, the 7-speed gearbox, is mounted at the back of the car. And I mentioned that earlier, actually, of the just for the balance of the weight. So 57 in the front, 43 in the back. The braking performance has been one of the standout things for me. The sheer brutality of the brakes, and the pedal never got long. In terms of just cruising around, this car is incredibly comfortable and does suit its GT name. It could easily grand tour you across Europe. In terms of speed and handling, it can't touch the McLaren that I've got, obviously, but let's talk about the comparison between this and the Jag. The Jag's 100 kilos heavier. It is about the same horsepower with the tune that this had and the exhaust, but out of factory this would have 503 and the Jag's got 550. Jaguar was supercharged. This is twin turbo, but the lag, there's just no lag. Put your foot down and the car instantly responds. The throttle response is immense. So there's no lag in the Jag. Obviously it's supercharged, it just goes. The Jag is faster. On the internet it books as faster. Jaguar reckon it's 3.6 and this is 3.7. So, but it does feel faster, the Jag in a straight line. With that being said, this car handles better. It just goes around corners a lot better. It's a lot flatter. The dampers in the track configuration, fully stiff dampers, just seem to work better than the Jaguar when it's in dynamic and sport. The front end grip is a lot better. There's a lot less roll in this car, and I think a lot of that's got to do with the dampers, the way the car is made. I think it's wider than the Jag, and also a lot of it's to do with the aero this car has got, because it's got significant aero compared to the Jag. Now, which one would I have? Well, I've got a Jag, I've bought it, obviously it's mine. Would I switch out the Jag for one of these? Yes. The answer is yes. If I can get my hands on a Black Series and have a go in one of those, would I spend the huge amounts of money required to get into one of those? Or even a nice GTR? I think I would. Now, will I actually sell the Jag? Here's the thing, I'll get in the Jag and I'll go for a drive and I'll be like, nah, I'm keeping it. Anyway, so incredible car. If you've got the disposable income or the means to buy one of these and you're sitting on the fence between this, a 911, an Audi R8, I wouldn't put the V10 in the same category as this, nor would I put the 911 Turbo S in the same category as this, which many people do, but the Turbo S would just leave this for dust. But I'd go as far up as a Carrera 911 GTS and this, and you know what? I think I'd go with this. And I'm a massive Porsche fanboy. I've had 2 Porsches, I've had a 996 and I've had a Cayman GT4, both of which I absolutely adored and only sold because I needed the money at the time. Otherwise, I'd probably still have those cars. In fact, I wouldn't have sold any of the cars I've bought if I could afford it. So, yeah, I'd probably take this over a 911 GTS. However, I would not take this over a 911 Turbo S, which, courtesy of a very nice friend of mine, I'm looking forward to being able to take off in a Porsche 911 Turbo S shortly. But for this one, and for me, that is the end of the video. So, as always, stay safe. See ya.